Turn it on!
I had absolutely no grazing experience. I knew nothing about cattle. I knew nothing about farm life other than the fact that it was something that I really enjoyed being around. But I was so city girl that the first time my grandmother told my grandfather to run get a chicken for lunch, and I was like, what are you going to do with the chicken? And she says, well, we're going to have it fried up. And I'm like, you get that from the Walmart or the HEB or whatever it was at that time. And so, I mean, I had no idea. Food came from the grocery store. And when Ray and I had the opportunity to purchase his aunt and uncle's farm, we were just, you know, I was just, woohoo, we're going to have a horse and we're going to have all this kind of stuff. Well, I've evolved over, we bought the farm in 1999. And so it's amazing how I was an interior decorator, as a matter of fact. And it's amazing once you get into this, once you start being interested in your soil and in the land and in your cattle and your goats and producing a good product, everything changes. And they say that you know that you have become a farmer when the only thing on your bookshelf are books about agriculture. And I voraciously read this stuff when we first bought the farm. But about 5 years ago, you know, we had a few cattle. We had 5 cows, and it was just open grazing. But our property had been row cropped and just done to death, and so the soil was very poor. We had a plethora of weeds, and I just, you know, we were feeding our cows out of the sack. And one day I bought this book, and it's called Small Scale Livestock Farming, and it's by Carol Acarius. And it isn't your real in-depth book or anything, but it had so much supportive information in it that I thought, dang, I can do this. I can do this. Ray and I can actually do something with our land here. And it was at that time, I was still working at Texas A&M. I worked at the College of Medicine, which is absolutely the worst market for grass-fed beef because everything is pharmaceutically driven through that segment of the business world. But I called John Moncrief with the NRCS, and I said, John, I need to know how to raise cattle and not go broke. He says, I got just the man I want you to meet. He personally came and got me and took me to Gene Sollock. Gene was nice enough at that point to me. We've gotten to know each other a lot better now. But anyway, he was so nice in that he gave us the entire farm tour. And Ray and I stood there and we went, oh my gosh, this will work. And then we went home and we did what most of y'all are going to do. We talked about it for another year. And then we went, well, we need to go talk to Gene again. And so we went back over there and we started coming to the Clover Field Days. And I was back in the background and I was like, you know, hey, let me ask you a question, and doing all this kind of stuff. And one thing led to another, and we finally went, okay, we've got to get started here. And so I guess it was about 3.5 years ago we started with our fences and stuff. Gene told us all about reduced inputs for the cattle to be able to still raise a healthy product. The benefits of rotational and intensive grazing and clover. And like I said, I bought every book I could find. This little thing, Acres USA, has all the books that you can possibly want to read. Joel Salatin. This one right here gave me the heart to do it. These and Gene Sollock gave me the mechanics to do it. And so I really believe that the more knowledge you have, the easier this is going to be for you. Anyway, the thing is that the more I found out about rotational grazing and clover, the more I found that it was not only healthy for the animals, but it was also healthy for us. Let's see here. And like I told y'all out in the pasture, Jerry Brunetti says that you have to have approximately 80 different varieties of grasses, clovers, growing things out there for your cattle and your goats and whatever else you're raising to get full meal. The salad bar, Joel Salatin has a book called Salad Bar Beef. This is a great book, very instrumental or very informational in what this actually does for you. Anyway, we started we got our soil tests and stuff. It came back horrid, and but Gene had said it don't make any difference. Line it, stop cutting hay off of it, put those nutrients back on the ground. So that's what we started doing. Little by little, we could see a little bit of stuff. About that time, I met Betsy Ross. I'm like, Betsy, come do your thing. And she did. And it's even better now. Last year, we tried the chicken litter. We've had our pH done, and it is up around 6.5, up to 7, something like that. But we still need lots of stuff. We're still working on it. All right. The first thing, and this was the hardest thing for me to go out to Gene Sollock's place, because his was done, it was productive, it was amazing. I have clover envy. I have terrible clover envy, because every time I go over to his house and I look at his, and then I go home and I look at mine, and I'm like, oh God. So, but don't get discouraged with it. Okay. Let's see. So what we really, and I hate having to just read off of this, but the main thing is get out your pencil and paper. Phishock sent a bunch of discs and a bunch of graph paper for you to sit down and be able to draw out your pastures. Lay your stuff down. Have a picture. Use it. Here's what I did. One of the things that you need to do is when you do sit down and draw this out, make lots of copies. This is what I have left of my original copy, because I did not make copies. I've had to go back and redraw this to be able to come up with this, because you use it all the time. One of the things is that all of our stuff comes off of our perimeter fence, because that was the simplest way. I don't have any lanes. I regret not putting in lanes, because you have to basically go through all the paddocks. But I don't have that much land. I couldn't give that up. I had to have it in production. So anyway, what we did is I just sat down and we drew. Actually, Philip Pasifuma was the one that gave us our original plan, which is what Tommy is saying that he can do. He can sit down, look at your property, and draw you up a plan. And then from there, you can take it. The next thing you need to do is you need to pull in your water lines. And that is, it's easy to do. Like Gene says, you can glue together 1,000 feet of this stuff. We did about 600 feet. You just sit there, you glue it, put it all together, stick it together, and pretty soon you wouldn't think that PVC pipe would be flexible enough, but you've just got snakes of it going around here. Hook that onto your tractor. Now we have a Ford 1952 Ford Jubilee, and we tried to do it with the subsoiler that Gene had and the little Chinese finger thing, and it did not work. We had to go borrow our neighbor's tractor to have something big enough. But with a small tractor, if you were to do nothing more than to get out there with a single plow that thing, then drive back down, hook all your stuff to your tractor, pull that in, and then go back and cover it up. You don't have to get some kind of ditch witch or rent, something. Just use what you have. Then we just glued in our hose connectors, and we put in valves so that if something happened and we had a leak, we could turn that section off.